Hello again, everybody. This is Ken Allison and Mostly Sports Talk. We've been on hiatus here for a few months, and we are cranking back up and hope to kind of improve and expand things as we go along. We have a new special guest that we hope is going to be a regular with us, and his name is Lake Morris. Lake is the prep reporter for the Anderson Independent Mail. And Lake, you're from Anderson, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I will not say exactly where I'm from to give anybody any ideas of where I went to high school, but yeah, I'm from here, and this will be my first full athletics calendar year covering the Anderson County area, and I'm really looking forward to it because we got a lot of good teams and a lot of good team players to go and watch on Fridays, but also Monday to Thursday as well at some of the other sports we have.
You recently married?
Yes, I got married. I got married back in March to my wife Angela.
Okay.
It's been a very fun first few months of marriage.
Wonderful.
I'll leave it at that. But it's if anyone's on the cusp of getting married or thinking about getting engaged, I would highly recommend do it because it is.
Me too.
It's probably it's the best decision I've made in my life, professionally, personally, regardless.
Did you come here with some experience somewhere else?
Yes, I've actually I graduated from South Carolina in 2010. Then from there, I spent some time at the Seneca Daily Journal up in Oconee County. I focused on their 4 schools they cover, and then up until about I came here in March, the past 2.5 years, I've been I was covering Hart County exclusively, just sports and news as well, and that was I wanted to do that to test the waters on the news side of things, and I did it. Covered police, crime.
Yeah, I've done all that in radio, that, every bit of it.
Board of Education, that was eye-opening.
Yeah.
But also the sports page as well, taking my own photography, writing my own stories, doing all that.
Yeah.
And now I've decided to come back here, and they had an opening, an opportunity I've wanted for a while, and now I'm the last few months finishing out the spring sports season. When I first got here, was really just trying to ride the wave and get through the season. And now that it's the first full year I'm going to have here, I'm really looking to put my stamp on things. Some changes are coming down the line, coverage-wise, in the way we do things. And hopefully all your listeners will keep an eye on the paper and see some of the changes I'm instituting for our high school sports coverage.
Well, as a longtime reader of that newspaper, because I'm an old guy, and been here most of my life. And even when I did not live here, we lived in Myrtle Beach a while. I worked at a radio station there. We subscribed to the paper and got it a day late, but we kept up that way. I'm one of the e-edition guys now. I get mine, and I love that find because I'm out of town some, and I can read it anywhere, anytime. Before we go any further, we want to talk about somebody who's leaving high school sports in a way, and that is a guy by the name of John McKissick at Somerville High School. Been there 63 years. Won 621 games, 10 state championships. He once won 41 consecutive games. I don't think that's a state record, by the way, but it might be. I'm not sure. It might be, too, because Bob Pravatic Gaffney won 30-something, maybe. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking about. But anyway, he is 88 years old and has retired and is... I was too lazy to do any research here, Lake, but you and I both think that his grandson is now the coach.
I do. You're correct. I think one of his grandsons is the head coach now, and that man will have all my blessings coaching in that shadow, especially this first season, because that is... if there's ever a man that has embodied a high school program, a high school, and probably a community, it's been Coach McKissick. Because when you think Somerville, you think his face on the program.
Sure.
And really, he will be greatly missed in his coaching, but I I've seen a lot of stories from that area that he's still very much around the program, and I think he's supposed to be at the very first game for him, and as a spectator this time, though, not as a coach.
Yeah, that's a strange thing to do, by the way. I've been through that when I was a broadcaster all those times, and then later became a spectator. That was kind of a strange thing that I went through, and still do, as a matter of fact. Okay, let's get to work here. I know you have been to work, and I don't know where you would like to start. I guess you want to start with Hannah and Westside and talk about what's happening here, what could happen, and what's happened so far preseason.
That works fine with me. I mean, they're the big dogs here in the county. They're both Class 4A for one last season.
Yeah,
we can touch that at the end. I guess you'd call that a tease in the radio business.
Sure.
But yeah, we can start with the Rams and the Yellow Jackets.
Okay. They both have. Now, I understand that Hannah maybe had a rough scrimmage or two, but then they did a jamboree and did okay.
Yeah, the Anderson County Jamboree, they went up against Palmetto, which is Class 3A school, and they beat them. I believe it was 21-7. I can't remember the score exactly off the top of my head, but they handled them pretty good for that half. How they do against the 4A schools, that's still going to be remain to be seen, but I think the Yellow Jackets are going to be in for a better year this year. If that translates to playoffs or not, I'm not sure.
Sure, because they do have some. They start with Burns, for goodness sakes.
Yes, that's week one, and you take on probably the definition of a powerhouse in this state in James F. Burns. I guess if there is a plus, it's at Hannah. So they'll have a home. They won't have to drive across the state to get to a game. But
I don't think that matters to Burns anymore, though.
No, it doesn't. I will say this for Hannah. This is not the Burns of old. They have had a lot of changeover in their coaching staff.
Sure, they have.
They are not what they used to be. With that said, they're still pretty good.
Yeah, right.
And I think they're still a favorite to win their region. They're still a favorite to make it to the state playoffs. But they're probably not a favorite to win it this year. With that said, they can still easily hang 40, 50 points on you.
Hannah and Westside are in a region with a defending state champion that is not Greenwood.
I know.
That's weird.
Probably the weirder thing is that it's Hillcrest.
Yes.
When I was in high school, Hillcrest was this one team you could schedule for a win.
Yeah, Hillcrest and Malden.
Yeah, and my cousin went to Hillcrest about 15 years ago, and when he was there, they were awful. And then the past few years, the district lines got a little redrawn over there for the schools to.
Yeah.
And Hillcrest started siphoning off some of the Greenville City talent.
Yeah, he was what they, I guess it's still called the Big 16. They moved into that, Hillcrest did.
Yes, their enrollment has boomed, and their acumen on the football field has definitely boomed, as evidenced by their Class 4A Division II championship.
Sure.
And all you need to know about Hillcrest is that they are fast. Their offense, it reminded me a lot of West Virginia when they had Tavon Austin and Geno Smith out there. A lot of really tiny wide receivers.
Right.
But they can fly. And you basically have one chance to tackle them. If you miss it, they're probably going to score. Big thing for them this year, though, will be replacing their offensive line. They had a massive offensive line last year.
Yeah, no, they did. Right.
And they were good.
And strangely enough, the only game they lost was to Westside, so they'll be out and want to avenge that when that happens.
Yes, they will.
I've led the conversation away from Hannah and Westside, and you were talking about Hannah. They had a strange quarterback situation over there. And so now a kid named Meredith, a ninth grader, and I'm told that he's looking pretty good.
Yes, Alex Meredith is. I talked to Coach Ollis for our season preview story, and this was probably in the beginning of August almost, and he came flat out and told me Alex Meredith is our starting quarterback.
Right. Ninth grade.
Ninth grade, freshman. Played at Glenview. If anyone's not familiar with Glenview Middle School, they're slowly becoming. They could be the player mill that Hannah has been wanting the past few years because they have had a very good middle school program the past 3 seasons. Meredith, from what I told, is there mentally. He's very smart. The question I have for Meredith is physically, is he ready as a 15 or 16-year-old to go against 17 and 18-year-olds?
And is he not like 5'8" or 9"?
He's listed at 6 feet, but we all know how high school programs can be.
So he's listed that high. He's probably 5. He may be 5'9" or 10 then.
5'9" or 10.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Like I said, we'll see how they do. He will have a pretty good sized offensive line in front of him. Logan Martin is a guy to watch.
Yeah.
He was hurt all of last year pretty much. He is rehabbed. He should be back ready to go. Another guy to watch on the offensive line is a defensive lineman, Matthew Baer. A very, very large kid at 6'4", about 290 pounds. Allis told me he's the strongest player on the team. Excuse me. And he's also going to have some pretty good skill guys to get to.
Okay, I was going to ask that because that is a question I was going to. Now, last year, Allis tried to bring in his own offense that had a lot of almost option type stuff, some of those kind of things, and it did not do very well in the 4A league. So now they have brought in a new offensive coordinator who's going to open it up a little bit.
Yes, and
so therefore he's going to need skill players are going to be more important than those power guys up front. Right?
Yes,
not more important. You're never more important than offensive linemen, but still.
Yes, I think I get what you're saying. In the age of the spread and how quick plays develop, a lot of it is 3 seconds, the ball's out, and then the play's on. So if you have an offensive line that can give you 3 seconds, that's really all you need in today's game.
Yeah.
It is true. Allis tried to run the system he did at Polk County in North Carolina, but that, as you said, that system just didn't work with the players he has and in the region and the teams they play against. So they are going to go to more of a spread-style offense. And it's going to have a lot more hurry-up, and I think they're hoping they can really maybe do to teams what happened to them last year, because there are times where they would go up against hurry-up offenses and their defense would get gassed.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of want to return the favor this year and see if this works.
That works two ways, because in practice your defense goes against that kind of offense, and that gives them more opportunity to learn that they've got to get in position and get ready, because of what you're facing there. I don't know about their defense at all.
Defense was not stellar last year. They got put a bunch of points on them. Part of that was the ineffectiveness of the offense and putting them in bad situations. And I think a lot of it also had to do with personnel. Hillcrest was very good last year. Greenwood was very good.
They always are.
Westside resurged last year, and we'll talk about them after we get done with Hannah.
Right.
That was a tough team. Easily, surprisingly, has gotten athletic. And really the only game they won last year was Woodmont. And show you how crazy things are, the Woodmont beat Westside last year.
Yeah, that was amazing, wasn't
it? So it was
that was kind of weird.
It was definitely a not an ideal way Allis wanted to start his first year, and he told me they've learned a lot from last year. They're trying to apply it to this year, and one of those things is that he's now taking more of a CEO role. He's not calling plays. He called plays last year. He's going to let his offensive coordinator do it, and he's delineating roles, and he's going to be more of an overseer now. So we'll see how that works for him.
Okay. Now going across town. Not only are we going across town, but a quarterback went across town too. He's a young man that I've known since he was a little guy, and his father, Blake Williamson, was a stellar quarterback at Hannah. Went on and played at South Carolina, and Blake and I broadcast Hannah games together for 1 year. Then he became the offensive coordinator out there as a volunteer for 2 or 3 years. And so, due to various circumstances, a lot of it having to do with the type of offense that had been run out there in the past, and that's kind of weird because now it's not the same thing. But he moved across town to Scott Early's West Side Rams, and Scott, who has a state championship at Myrtle Beach under his belt, and has had some kind of unusual things to happen too. Yeah. But Scott, I know him not real well, but I do know him, and he's a boisterous, go-getter, ball of fire type guy, and he came into